Welcome everyone to the next module. Right now we're going to talk about focal lengths. So looking at some of the most common focal lengths, again, when to use them, when to apply them as a cinematographer. So looking at extreme wides, this is kind of like that fisheye look, super wide. We can be looking at kind of like 8mm, 12 or 14mm. Next, looking at with extreme wides, looking at 16mm. So for instance, right now, Christian is filming me utilizing a 16x35 on the Canon R5. And so he is at a 16mm right now. So jumping from 16, and now we can jump to 25. So you guys can see the difference that we have here in focal lengths. Next, moving on from 25, 50 I would say is kind of the most common, or 25, I say 25 because I utilize 25. It's right behind me here. It's one of my DZO film Vespid primes that I use for my Ursa Mini Pro G2. However, I would actually argue like 24 millimeters is a bit more common than 25. However, moving on from there, next up I would say is 50 millimeters, then 85 millimeters, then 90 millimeters, and 90 is typically found with macros. I know a lot of 90mm macro lenses, and then finally after that, 100. There's a ton of different options outside of that. There's also zoom lenses, right, or picture zoom lenses, and so those allow us to go various focal lengths. So again, Christian right now is utilizing a zoom lens. So Christian, just to display to them, if you want, you can zoom in here, punch into 35 from 16, and then going back to 16. So again, this is a zoom lens. It allows Christian to zoom in and out. Super beneficial to have lenses like this because of the versatility that you have as a cinematographer. You can move fast, you can move efficiently. And if you need to change your focal length last second, you can do so. I briefly mentioned there picture zoom. So what exactly is a picture zoom? A picture zoom is a cinema style of glass, a cinema lens. The real beauty of a picture zoom is that your subject will stay in focus. So say for instance, utilizing right now, we've got a 50 on there, but let's imagine it was a 24-70 picture zoom. So I'm in focus and we're at 50 right now. But if we wanted to pull that back, we wanted to zoom out to 24, I would actually stay in focus. Or if we zoomed into 70, I would also stay in focus. However, I'm sure you're quite aware if you're using like a Canon 70-200 telephoto lens or a Tamron, 70-200, whatever have you, but you're using an SLR lens, that telephoto, when you zoom in, it's gonna lose focus. Not only that, a lot of SLR zoom lenses, when you zoom, the actual lens changes itself. So it either expands, punches out, or shrinks in. Another great aspect of picture zooms is that the lens length does not change. This is really, really pivotal when you start working on higher productions because you're gonna be building out really big camera builds. If you're working with a Steadicam operator or you just got a lot of NATO rails and other systems built out on your camera and your tripod, the last thing you want is that weight distribution to change just because you want to quickly change your focal length. So having picture zooms can be a huge help. That weight load and that weight distribution stays the exact same, which is pivotal for cinematographers and just the whole entire camera department when talking about speed and efficiency on set. Now talking about overall, again, these different focal lengths, really 25 and below I would consider wide, 50 to 85. 50 is more the medium. 85 I could consider somewhat medium, but not really. That's going to be much more close. It's going to be a tight focal length. It's going to be a really compressed image, and everything expanding up above that as well. But again, beyond focal lengths, we can look at actual shot styles, which we'll get into as well within this program. So shot styles, obviously, you can utilize a 100mm and still have a master or an establishing shot, but you're gonna have to be really, really far away to do so. I would never recommend doing that. However, it is an option. Now looking at these focal lengths and when I most commonly use them, for me, again, the 90 and the 100, I'm super intentional with those. The 90 macro, I'm really using only for macro shots. So if I want an extreme close-up, maybe I want a close-up on the eyes, or maybe on the hands, right? Like maybe we're doing some story and maybe it's something really heart-wrenching, right? And I want to get a close-up of that tear dripping down, or then wiping the tear away, or something like that. So these extreme close-ups, really, really great detail. If you're a big nature person, or you just love shooting outdoors, I think having a 90 macro will be a fantastic option for you. You can just get the most dreamy, beautiful shots ever. I absolutely love using my macro outdoors for close-ups. But again, I'm very, very intentional with that. Now with the 100, this is typically what I'm using in interview setup. So if I want a B-cam option, so an option just to have as a really, really good close-up, in addition to having just my typical camera setup straight on with talent, I'll have something set on shadow side, and I'm typically using that 100 millimeter. Again, that's because I'm able to get a much tighter frame. So rather than just capturing a decent amount of the body with that tight frame there, I'm capturing really just the head. And so I can really use that as a great cutaway whenever my client or whenever that subject is talking about something really serious. Maybe it's something they're just really excited about, they're passionate about, right? Like, it's cool that we can see the emotion from here and you can read it, but imagine a close-up, right? Where you're just boxed in here and you're seeing just how invigorated, how smiley, how happy I am, right? Or maybe I'm pissed and upset, right? So like, really being able to see the emotion, utilizing that 100 can be a great option for that. And then for me, again, 50 is probably the most common lens that I'm using. I love my 50, be that for interviews or for medium shots, whether that's shooting a commercial or a music video or a short film. I love the 25 as well because it gives me the aspect of a wide style, but it's not super wide. So again, looking at Christian's lens here for an example, 16, it's beautiful. It's a great shot, but it's really wide. Like, it's hard to see the detail of my expression and emotion here. Well, with a 25, you can still get a lot of that emotion, that information here, but you're also getting exterior motivation. Additionally, what I really love about utilizing the 25 is, for me, I can use the 25 close up, but still get environmental details. So the issue with like a 50 or an 85 or 100 is, even if you're, 20 feet away, your frame is somewhat limited. So it can be hard for your audience to get an idea of where exactly your subject is, what's going on, is there other people in this environment, right? But when you utilize the 25, even if they were just across this table in front of me here, 3 feet away, they would be able to see more of the environment. They would be able to see the light and the lenses back there, the practical light. They'd probably get a teeny bit of this Godox M600D right here on the side as well. And so they would be able to capture and see that in the image. So having that little extra push there can be super, super beneficial, having just that little extra bit of space. Now that's really it, guys, in regards to focal lengths. Just wanted to briefly touch on some of those most common ones, mine and when I use them. And if there's any other information or concerns you guys might have, again, be sure to let me know. Without further ado, let's jump into camera movement.